Did the door slam on your title chances? Start fresh with our way too early 2026 rookie rankings. That's right. It's our breakdown of the top 12 new players coming to Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues this April. All this and more. It's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right, and welcome into the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. And with the 2025 season finally winding down and the college football playoff about to get underway, we're switching gears back to the Dynasty streets in this episode with a first look at my 2026 rookie rankings for Superflex leagues. We'll also break down each of our top 5 most anticipated films of 2026, because that's just what we do here at IBT. We give you a little pop culture, we give you a little NFL fantasy football advice. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, doing my best to survive both the winter and the fantasy postseason. And back with me is quite the cast of characters, including a man who I'm sure is quite the opinion on both the incoming rookies and blockbusters. He's our NFL and entertainment betting expert here at IBT's Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. Steven, how are you, as we just have a few weeks left here in the calendar year?
I'm doing great. I am absolutely stunned that I got to go first of the two of us. It's usually the other way around. So you caught me off guard. You caught me like not ready. I'm feeling great. It's Christmas time, and I've watched my share of Christmas movies. I've also marathoned the Knives Out series the other night just to see which one stacked up which with like a fresh mind. Nice. I've been having a grand old time. So I am psyched to be here and talk the Dynasty rookie class coming in.
Steve, better chance you win a fantasy football championship or finish all your Christmas shopping this weekend?
Finish my Christmas shopping because there's no championships this weekend, but your boy is alive and well in his leagues, but it is only the second round of the playoffs. But I am doing well in the playoffs in the leagues I made it in. So especially the league of note, right? My home league. Yes. I survived, highest scorer. Thank you, Devon H. Nice. And that one drive from Chris Olave. So let's hear it for my boy down in New Orleans, down in the Bayou.
Let's go, baby. We're also tapping back into the big brain of a big business, a light ranch and son of a gun. He's Eric Romoff. Tex, how you doing there as we gear up for the holidays? Any travel plans going down to maybe South Padre, maybe even south of the border during the break?
Well, we're going the exact opposite direction. We're heading up to New York City for Christmas Day, and heading down to Philadelphia after that. So trying to force our way into a bit of a white Christmas. We don't get many of those here in Texas.
Wow! So bringing back bringing some Elf vibes or some Home Alone 2 Lost in New York vibes. I like it. Very magical.
Yeah, world's best cup of coffee coming my way.
Also, keeping the show on tracks behind the scenes is everyone's favorite Yinzer, Ginger, and former IUP Crimson Hawk, baby. He is producer Kyle Scott. Jim, I'm sure the city was absolutely buzzing last night. The Lures, they came out, took care of business against the Miami Dolphins on the North Shore. How palpable was the vibe out there for the boys last night?
Yeah, it was palpable despite the state of the roads. People were out even though there was still slush and ice from the snowstorm over the weekend. Yeah, it's been a mess and people were belligerent, so roads were very dangerous. But that's just Pittsburgh for you. Things are fantastic, I would say.
That's life out here in Western PA, man. I feel you completely. And Pittsburgh, definitely, if you guys haven't been there, a bit of a hilly city. A lot of steep hills out there, so you got to keep your head on a swivel, especially this time of year while on the streets. I know you always are, Kyle, because that's just the type of man you are. And before we jump into the program, shout out to everyone who's making us a part of their week, either by joining us on the In Between Media YouTube channel or the audio feed. Thank you so much for all the support so far this season. please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I see we got our friend Albert checking in saying, good evening, IBT. Good evening, Albert. Great to see you, buddy. Also, Ben, ready to go, locked and loaded with us as well. And a little more housekeeping at the top here. First of all, the rest of the way through the Super Bowl, likely all of next season as well, we'll likely have 2 shows a week during the season. We're going to have one that's more fantasy focused and then one more betting focused that'll be pre-recorded. They'll put out later in the week. Really just like figured there are some people here who just want the fantasy information and some who also want the picks and only the picks. So we're going to split those up moving forward. Kyle has graciously agreed to edit 2 podcasts a week. So we appreciate Jim's contribution as always. And on the community side of things as well for IBT, just a quick note here that the IBT football family now free to join, absolutely no cost to you. You're going to get access to our analysts and memorabilia giveaways for no cost. So if you have questions, whether it comes to NFL, college football betting, or fantasy football, you can go in the IBT football family. You can ask any of us or our great audience members. And if you also want to get access to our full betting cards, the touchdown call contest, you can then upgrade for $3.99 per month or $36 for the year. This will also include unlocking benefits for the IBT racing family. We had a huge season, up 63 units. Myself was in 2025 alone. So we want to have you get all the access in there, like the betting model, the head-to-head contests, the picks, everything happening over there. And we also have the PGA and entertainment family launching soon for you in the new year. So a lot of good stuff happening. You can join right now for free at inbetweenmedia.com/chat. That's in-betweenmedia.com/chat. The link is also available in the episode description. And everyone, we also have a free bonus contest starting this NFL playoffs. Anyone can join this contest. We're hosting a PropDecks contest where you actually build a player prop-based lineup, fantasy football style, from wildcard weekend all the way into the Super Bowl. And the winner, you're going to take home a $200 Fanatics gift card powered by our friends over there at PropDecks. Also, second place, we over here at IBT, we're going to be giving away an autographed Zach Evans Ole Miss Rebels jersey. So everyone who's crying down there in Oxford, oh, we lost Lane Kiffin, oh, we were going to be no good. Hey, it's okay. You can get a Zach Evans Ole Miss Rebels jersey, soothe those tears. And third place, you're going to score a free entry to our 2026 edition of Draft Night Out. That's our live fantasy football draft party in Canton, Ohio at the Fantasy Football Expo in July. And to enter, there are limited spots available. So hurry, go over there to in-betweenmedia.com/chat. Join the Discord for free, and you can go into the NFL Playoffs Prop Deck Contest channel. All the directions, everything you need is right in there. So make sure you're checking it out. Huge thank you to our partner PropDecks for helping us make this NFL Playoffs once again great. We appreciate them very much. And boys, I had a big one over there in the PropDeck streets last week. So hopefully you're getting warmed up and ready to go, because I'm ready. I'm ready, man. Zach Evans, he might not have been a guy in the NFL, but he had a good run at Ole Miss. I'm ready to wear that with pride.
Man, you're going to sweep 1, 2, and 3. We're going to see you rocking the jersey Fanatic gifts card at DNO next year, Seth. I love it.
Yeah, well, that's just what I do. You know what I mean? You gotta keep it rolling, and I'll still maybe give them away, or maybe I'll take them to a different channel, because we might have some different channels coming up here soon too. That's new in 2026. But gentlemen, before we get to
foreshadowing,
yes, that's a lead or a tease, as they call it in the business, folks. And before we tease any further, let's go ahead and jump into it with some Rave rookie reviews with our 2026 Dynasty rookie class. Let's go. right, it's Rave Rookie Reviews. It's our way too early 2026 rookie rankings and ideal landing spots. Keep in mind that these are my initial rankings. I've spent the last few seasons watching most of these prospects very, very closely at the collegiate level, diving into the data throughout as well. This is for Superflex 12-team leagues. We'll go through the first round, so the top 12 players as well. I'll break down what I have learned about these players. Again, all subject to change as we get more information throughout the NFL draft and scouting process. And then Eric and Steve, they will give us their ideal landing spots for each player. So I want to start at the top here, gentlemen. Let's go with Fernando Mendoza, the 2025 Heisman Trophy winner. Out of IU, this kid is a 6'5", 225-pound nerd who just loves ball, baby. He led Indiana to an undefeated season in the regular way and then came to a Big Ten championship title by way of a sensational performance against the top-ranked defense in the country. He now has the number 1 overall seed in the CFP locked up with a nation-high 33 passing touchdowns, second best yards per attempt as well. And across his time at Cal and IU, he is 21st all-time in college football history in completion percentage. And while he's not like the most mobile guy in the world, he did score 6 touchdowns on the ground this year under Sig Signetti. Pocket presence, accuracy, I think they are borderline elite for Mendoza, especially in the clutch. This guy gets good in the fourth quarter. The biggest thing that I think could deter folks maybe from drafting him, especially here at the 101 overall, is the fact that he doesn't have the purest arm talent, right? He's not a Matthew Stafford. He's not someone like that, Josh Allen, who just has an absolute monster arm. But I think he has the work ethic. I think he has the moxie. I think he's going to spend the time in the lab to get better and better. That's why I really like him for a long-term investment. I think when it's all said and done 3 or 4 years from now, he will be the clear top prospect in this class. Steve, what is your ideal landing spot for Mr. Fernando Mendoza?
Yeah, I looked into where people have him projected. It's projected that he's going to be the 101 in the NFL draft, like the first overall pick. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to sentence this poor kid to a life of being a New York Jet. That just seems cruel. So I have his ideal landing spot as the Arizona Cardinals. And in order to pull this off, I say, because there's rumblings that the Jets want a veteran presence under center next season, someone who's ready to go, that this coaching staff can count on, because they don't want to have a rookie in there because they don't want to get fired. So they want to win right away. In this scenario, Arizona is going to trade Kyler, the number 6 pick, and a 2027 first to the New York Jets. They're going to get out of that Kyler Murray contract, move up to number 1, and bring in Fernando Mendoza, the 6'5" statue out of Indiana. Right now, Jacoby Brissett is averaging 20.5 points per game. Jacoby Brissett is, who's not a good quarterback in the NFL. Sure. There are weapons galore in Arizona. You've got Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, which that's solid. Trey Benson, James Conner coming back from injury next season. And the coaching is actually competent, unlike that in New York. So I don't want to sentence this kid to like death by, just absolute inadequacy of the Jets, because from the top down, that is a joke organization and no one should ever be forced to go there. But Kyler Murray had his chance. He had multiple coordinators come through and multiple coaching staffs, and he's never been that great with any of them. He signed that massive deal. Go to New York, play all the Call of Duty you want. They don't seem to care about how anybody behaves.
They like Madden up there. We know they like Madden.
Yeah,
in that organization.
they actually like video games. You can go play with Woody Johnson's kids. They'll probably be hyped. Yeah, and I think it'll cost you 2 first-round picks, but it'll get you out of that contract.
Yeah, I actually like this play a lot. I mean, I think I would be really bullish then to go after Mendoza as the clear 101 if he did land in somewhere like Arizona. Maybe the Rams, spend all their draft capital and move up to this first overall pick. They have 2 first-rounders this year. Thank you to the Atlanta Falcons. Eric, I know you're very quarterback friendly, especially in these dynasty rookie streets and super flex formats. So any problem with my decision to put Fernando Mendoza at the 101?
No, he's very likely to be my 101, as you just documented. As you just mentioned, I have a well-documented deference to the format. Superflex, I tend to lean quarterback pretty heavily. I love the idea of him ending up as an Arizona Cardinal. I don't know if that package would get it done, or if it's necessarily going to be the Jets that are trading out of the number 1 overall spot in this scenario. There are 3 teams that currently have one fewer win than those New York Jets. So it's going to be a scramble to get up to the number 1 overall pick, because if Mendoza is on the board, it's presumed that he will go to the Raiders at number 2. So someone's going to have to pay a pretty handsome sum. And I don't know if that's the right price tag to get up to 101.
I think if the Giants are at the 101, that is great for Fernando Mendoza's dynasty outlook, because they are likely to trade out of that pick then. And then I think it does open the door for someone like Arizona, Los Angeles, someone like that to come up and just drive the price up and get in there and get Mendoza. So I'm with you guys there. Let's go to my next player here at number 2 overall. I have Jeremiyah Love, the running back for Notre Dame. This is a guy that I was all in on for the Heisman. 80-1 I took him, and wow, what a sweater that was. Never really got the full cash out I wanted on that, just because I placed it at DraftKings and not FanDuel, where, we always talk about FanDuel, such an aggressive cash out marketplace. And so really had a little bit of regret there. But as far as Jeremiyah Love, this guy is 6 foot, 214 pounds. And I think most people expected this guy to be the best running back in this class, coming off a 1,100-yard rushing season a year ago, 19 total touchdowns, led Notre Dame all the way to the national championship game. And then he added over 200 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns this year, stayed healthy all season as well, because he was really banged up down the stretch a year ago, led the Irish to a 10-2 season, dropped 2 games early to A&M and Miami, just outside of the CFP looking in. He was named the 2025 Doak Walker Award winner, being named the nation's top running back, likely going to be a first-round pick, has a ton of home run hitting ability. The best way I can describe it is he's like a blazer, but also has exceptional contact balance for being how fast he is. My early comp form is Le'Veon Bell with a bit more acceleration off the grip. And I think, like most rookie running backs, I'd love to see him add a little bit of weight before the combine. Let's see what he can do in pass protection. I think his also route tree is very much running wheel routes and dump offs. We haven't seen much of like Texas routes and that type of stuff. So would like to see a bit more of that. Still, all things considered, I think he's a 3-down guy. He's a running back, I think, that handles 15 to 20 touches right away in the NFL. Eric, where's your ideal landing spot for Mr. Love?
Yeah, everything that you just described is a perfect fit for what they are looking for to support your guy, JJ McCarthy, with the Minnesota Vikings. We'll see. It's kind of a logjam around the bottom third of the standings right now. So somewhere in that pick 10 to 15 range makes pretty good sense to me. Minnesota should be landing right around there. Whether or not 2/3 of the analysts on this program believe that JJ McCarthy should be moved on from, I sincerely doubt that the Minnesota Vikings feel that way, right? They invested heavily to bring him in, and now they need to move into phase 2 of that experiment to go out there and support him. I think bringing in a player like Jeremiyah Love, who can take those checkdowns and those dump offs and turn literally every reception and every carry into an explosive play to keep this offense ahead of the chains, is exactly what they're looking for. The only real flaw that I would call out is what you mentioned about his ability to pass protect. It's just kind of average at that, right? Which is not uncommon for guys coming in from the college level. So would want to see him work on that. And I think from a personnel standpoint, we know that Aaron Jones is getting longer and longer in the tooth. We saw that they took a shot on Mason, and he didn't exactly shine when he had the opportunity. So I think they're going to be looking for answers at this position. And I think that Jeremiyah Love is a great way to answer that question.
Steve, snap call for you. Would you rather have the pick that could secure you Jeremiyah Love without knowing the landing spot, or would you rather have any of the 2025 rookie running backs, including Ashton Jeanty, Travion Henderson, Quinshaw Judkins, Omarion Hampton, Cam Scadaboo?
Oh, well, not Cam Scadaboo. Please don't put him in the same category as those other guys. That's just disrespectful. But I would rather have like pretty much all those other guys. Maybe not Quinshaw Judkins, maybe. Then
really over Love.
I'd probably put Love maybe above Hampton as well. Okay. So I'd probably take Henderson and Jeanty for sure. Okay. Hampton and Love kind of go. They're kind of like to me. I think Jeremiyah Love is really good. As of right now, I won't lie, he is the 101 in this class. I don't think this is a great rookie class by any means so far.
Sure.
I think it's solid like through the middle in like late rounds, but at the top it's weak.
I like the top. I think it's a little bit the other way actually, but we're still so early. I think everyone has different differentiating opinions, and I've heard a lot of people with you.
I am so like, especially in the super flex format, I'm kind of like out on the quarterback class this year overall. So I think that's what's making me think this is a weaker class overall, but the skill players are pretty cool.
Okay. Eric, would you rather have Love or Genty or any of the 2025 backs?
I would err on the side of more of the 2025 backs. I think I would put O'Marion Hampton in that conversation. I think I would probably put Quinshon Judkins in that conversation. Just because even though it's a small sample size, we've got some proof of concept about them doing it at the NFL level. And while we have cause to be bullish that Jeremiyah Love can do that, we haven't seen it yet, right? And so that uncertainty gives me a bit of pause.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm happy to take him with the 101 or 102 in Superflex.
Okay.
And I don't think that there's a bad choice among them, right? He's not going behind, to Steve's point, the Woody Marks or Cam Scadaboos from this year's class, but of the elite guys from last year, I think he's neck and neck with him.
First of all, have some freaking respect for Cam Scadaboo. We're already back here right where we were before the season started. And third of all, I do agree with you guys. So I think I would rather have Genty and Travion Henderson, and I would slot in Jeremiyah Love probably right after those guys, just because we've seen it a little more with them. Hopefully the Raiders can get their act together. Number 3, though, let's go to Jordyn Tyson. And I really have a 4-pack of wide receivers here that I'm very much up for debating their positioning in my rankings. I think this is a very fluid list. Kind of like we've seen in previous years, but even maybe more so because this class, to me, I think it is a bit more deeper than initially given credit for at the wide receiver position. Arizona State's Jordyn Tyson, this is a true alpha type of wide receiver. He stands at 6'2", 200 pounds, and he really excels in creating separation, coming down with the rock in contested situations. I've kind of compared him to like a bit of George Pickens' catch radius with more of like Jordan Addison's elusiveness and route running. And he went over 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns as a junior in 2024 before suffering a season-ending injury. This has kind of been a problem with Jordyn Tyson here because in his second season, he also had a torn ACL, MCL, and PCL all in 2022. He also only played 9 games in 2025 with a hamstring and ankle injuries. I don't know how real that was. Sam Levitt was banged up at the end, but we know he was hurt throughout this year, but it could have been a business decision. I think if we're talking pure ceiling, though, boys, I think that Jordyn Tyson, as far as the receivers, has more than anyone else in this class. But medicals could certainly push him down both NFL draft and Dynasty rookie draft board. So I'm going to have to really see how he performs at the combine and how those medicals check out. But if everything comes back clear, I think he is my 101 for the receiver, Steve. Where do you want him to land? And do you also agree that he has the most upside? It's just, is it a risk worth taking at this point?
I think upside is definitely there as far as wide receivers go. I do think there's a player that has not declared yet that might be a sleeper high upside, and people will, I don't want to enrage the internet, but I didn't see him on your list, but Deuce Robinson is one of those guys that I think we should be talking about. Jordyn Tyson needs to blow it away at the combine. He needs to run a 4.40 to really push his stock higher. Because of the medicals, I think. But his ideal landing spot is the Tennessee Titans for me. If you want the most fantasy production for any of these wide receivers, you can almost always just say the Tennessee Titans because there's no one there to compete with. Calvin Ridley, when he was playing this year, was awful. And he's just not available anymore. And he's getting older and older and older. And I'm sure the older he gets, the more that DraftKings app calls to him like the Green Goblin mask. So, who knows how long he's going to be able to avoid that. But Tyson is a big-bodied receiver. He's a good contested catch guy, but they need a red zone threat. And I thought Alec Ayomanor would turn into that for the Titans, but he really hasn't. DK had that 1 week against New England, and then kind of like he fizzled out into nothing. We saw Jeffrey Simmons catch a touchdown this week. Like, things are bleak right now in Tennessee. And frankly, Simmons ran the scramble drill better than any of the wide receivers. So things are not looking great. So someone needs to go in there and do that. And Jordyn Tyson could go in there and potentially capitalize on that opportunity, probably as a second round pick, more so than a first round pick. But he has that wide receiver 1 upside. This class does not have a ton of wide receiver 1 upside in it. I think it has really strong wide receiver 2s and a lot of them.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I love this landing spot. It reminds me a lot like what the Carolina Panthers did last year. And hey, we got to find out what our number 1 overall pick at quarterback has in him. Let's go get him a top 10 wide receiver in Tedero McMillan. And you're suggesting the Titans should do the same thing with Cam Ward. That'd be a big boon to his dynasty value. I have a lot of Cam Ward exposure, so I would love that.
You have to do that for young quarterbacks.
Let's go to my next player. It's coming in at number 4, Carnell Tate, wide receiver for Ohio State. And look, this is another OSU guy who was recruited and coached by the great Brian Hartline, heading down to South Florida, wanting him to come over to Happy Valley. That didn't happen. And Tate, he's coming into the room 6'3", 195, and a lot like a former Ohio State wide receivers, Emeka Egbuka, Chris Olave, and a few others. Like, he was never really the best wide receiver for the Buckeyes, but was still a 5-star prospect who had 52 over 700 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns as the wide receiver in 2024 for this team. And then this year, he got to take a step up with a receiver leaving for the NFL in Egbuka, and he went for 838 yards, 9 touchdowns on 48 receptions. He's really a deep ball guy. He's a red zone threat. Gets off the line of scrimmage a lot better than people would think, and also really thrives in traffic and contested catch situations. The big questions for me here are with Tate. What does his 40 time do to his draft stock, because it could crater it? Also, can he be a true number 1, specifically on short design touches, because he has been used with a deeper ADOT, specifically this season with the new quarterback taking over in Julian Saints. So, Eric, your thoughts on Carnell Tate kind of versus the top of the board here in Jordyn Tyson, and your favorite landing spot for Tate?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that a lot of Tate's draft stock will fluctuate based on how he performs in the combine. And I don't know if that's going to work in his favor. I think he actually is one of these guys that is much better at game speed than in a sterile setting like the NFL combine. So he might slip a little bit. He might slip far enough to fall into the lap of a team that is perennially looking for wide receiver help. So I've got him going to the Baltimore Ravens. Feel pretty good about what they've done with Zay Flowers in terms of a separator and an intermediate route runner, a guy that can create yards after the catch. Now they need that downfield threat. And to your point, we're not seeing Carnell Tate pulling away from anyone, but very much so is a contested catch kind of guy, can go up and high point the ball, has really reliable hands, and then all of the attributes that you assign to this recent legion of Ohio State receivers: advanced route running, technician, really clean off the stem, right? Really good off the line, all the things that have become kind of the calling cards of Ohio State. He has that, but with a much bigger frame and a much better contested catch and catch radius than we've seen from some of those names that you mentioned, the Chris Olaves and the Garrett Wilsons of the world, right? So I think he can come in and be a nice counterbalance as a deep threat for the Ravens offense that really needs it. He can also be an effective way to funnel targets away from either Mark Andrews or Derrick Henry in the red zone. So I think he'll be a great fit. And I think those question marks about his, straight line athleticism could leave him on the board for the Ravens to scoop him up.
Yeah, I would hate this, one, because I'm a Steelers fan. Also, two, like, I see a little bit of Rashad Bateman outlook for him, right? And maybe that's how they pigeonholed into him. And I would not prefer that for his fantasy outlook. So I'd actually prefer, I think, a different landing spot. But I think it's a very plausible one for sure with Carnell Tate staying out here on the East Coast. For number 5, I have a player who proved that he would go ahead and follow someone like Sig Signetti into battle. It's Elijah Sarratt, who followed his head coach from JMU to Indiana. And he was second in the Sun Belt in receiving yards, nearly 1,200 yards as a true sophomore. He then proved he can handle high-level competition in the Big Ten, finished 6th in the conference in receiving yards in 2024 with 957 yards. He was banged up a bunch during the middle part of the season, missed several games, and when he was active, wasn't playing in a couple games. So his stats do look a bit misleading, I will say, but he still did lead the conference in receiving touchdowns. He has the NFL frame at 6'2", 209 pounds, and he's a monster across the middle. Run blocking, great as well. I think he's somewhere between like an Emeka Ibuka and a Trey Harris type, right? I see a lot of Trey Harris actually in his game, who we didn't get to see a lot of Trey Harris for the Chargers this year, but kind of just what we saw from at Ole Miss in that Lane Kiffin offense. So I think he's a very pro-ready guy. The question is, though, what is his overall speed like? What is the after-the-catch ability? Because he's certainly someone who makes most of his yards through the air. I really liked this guy. I think he's absolutely dynamic on a curl route, a comeback. But how is he going to do with some of these crosser routes in the NFL and the more complicated like corner routes? I'm not sure. Steve, your ideal landing spot and thoughts on Sarratt?
Yeah, my thoughts on him are vastly different than yours, unfortunately, and I feel like this happens quite a bit. I feel like I'm like the heel of this program.
You hate the Big Ten. You hate the Big Ten. Just say it.
I love the Big Ten. I love college football. I root for everybody. I'm a big fan of everybody. Everyone gets to win. But Sarratt has seen his production drop each season since his sophomore year at JMU.
Well, he was at JMU, though. It's easier competition. Easier to be
right, but it went down, and then it went down, and then it went down, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And his athleticism is a question.
He did not regress this year. It was because of the injury, though. I just want to say that. Like I think if he was fully healthy, his numbers
played
are better.
in 11 games. He had 11 games played. I mean,
yeah, but they weren't truly 11 games. There was a lot of like, hey, he's active, but he's sitting on the sideline. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It just, you know what, though? You watch him play, and that's, to me, he is not a pro-ready receiver. I don't think he's there yet. I think he's a project, and he needs to go somewhere he can develop. And for me, that is the Minnesota Vikings, where you have Jalen Nailor as a free agent. You can let him go, right? That wide receiver 3 kind of option, 4th receiving option, really behind Hawkinson. He doesn't have to produce right away. He can learn the game, get himself going, figure out his route tree, figure out what he's good at, what he's not good at. And Kevin O'Connell can utilize him the best way possible. Maybe Addison takes off in a year or two. And then all of a sudden he may be able, if he's developed, to come up to that wide receiver 2 next to Justin Jefferson. I think that's where Sarratt is for me as far as a prospect. I think he's a nice stash, but he's not someone I want to go reach and aggressively go get, especially where I think his measurables are going to be pretty bad. I don't think he's the most athletic guy, and unfortunately,
sure, that's fair.
And unfortunately, he just doesn't have the route tree to go with it. I mean, he did follow his coach. That's great. I love that. But playing in an offense that is pretty explosive, he was pretty pedestrian overall. I thought, like, even when he was out there, he wasn't like dominating games. He's just not that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say he wasn't dominating because you are right that he did have Omar Cooper across from him, right? And that certainly, let him spread the love a little bit more this year. So I will say this. I think last year, Quinshaw Judkins was the most polarizing prospect even before the legal issues, where he was going anywhere from the 105 to the 203 in Dynasty rookie drafts. I think that Elijah Sarratt is also someone you'll see a lot of volatility with. I've seen people have him as high as 102 overall in their Dynasty rookie rankings, and I've seen him outside the top 12. So a lot of volatility. I wouldn't hate the Vikings, but I actually think he could go somewhere like Pittsburgh and just slot in as an immediate wide receiver 2 and have some really good first-year production. I'd kind of almost see an Ibuka-like season for him, hopefully a little more steady than Ibuka's been, but a lot of big plays and a lot of serviceability right off the rip. At number 6 here, it's Makai Lemon. And much to my chagrin, this guy was the Bolitnikov Award winner. I had a ton of money on Jeremiyah Smith to come through for it. Lemon upsets him out of USC. He posted over 1,100 yards, led the Big Ten in receiving yards, 11 touchdowns, 79 receptions. He's only 5'11", 195, though. So a bit of this more new school wide receiver, right, that relies on being a technician. We've seen this in the past, whether it was Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, insert Travis Hunter, right? I think the biggest deterrent for someone like Lemon, obviously his size, and he really seems to somewhat struggle getting off press, right? We saw that in some of these big games this season where when he was playing other elite cornerbacks in man coverage, he sometimes struggled. So Eric, with that said, Lemon, he's a little bit of a dynamite in a small package. Do you like him, and what's your ideal landing spot?
Yeah, I do like him, right? You mentioned how he kind of fits that new school archetype, and we see a lot of success stories with that type of player in today's NFL, right? So he is a player where landing spot is going to matter, and I like how he would fit into what is currently constituted as the Washington Commanders system. I'm speculating a little bit that we'll see Cliff Kingsbury retained there and not get
Agreed.
into maybe some of the head coaching circuit back again. If he is still holding the clipboard for the Washington Commanders, I like how Lemon fits in, mainly in part because of that skill set, right? He is someone that has shown a versatile nature and application to how he can create separation off the line of scrimmage, his ability to change direction, to start and stop. All of these are up there with some of the elite prospects that we've seen at the wide receiver level over the last few seasons, just absolutely torching zone defense left and right. But your point, open question as to how he faces against press coverage and man coverage. And I think moving into a spot like the ones that the Commanders will present to him gives him a little bit of runway, right? We still got Terry McLaurin there. We still got Deebo Samuel there. And as those two guys either age out or their skill set kind of narrows their role and responsibility, that opens up the door for Lemon to step into that role. So I think he profiles in a pretty similar fashion to that of Luther Burden, and that's kind of where I would put his floor. Okay. His ceiling is through the roof, right? It's a wide range of outcomes, but if everything hits for him, he could be like a more explosive Amon-Ra St. Brown. But if I had to put my finger on it, I'd say he's a little bit closer to the Luther Burden side of the range, but that still has value in today's NFL.
So to recap my top 6, again, it's Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiyah Love, Jordyn, Tyson, Carnell, Tate, and then, of course, Elijah Sarratt and Makai Lemon. So, again, I have those receivers in the order of Tyson, Tate, Sarratt, and Lemon. Eric, do you have an early order of those 4 wide receivers in your mind?
I would probably put Tate ahead of Tyson. I'd say those two are in kind of a sub tier among those 4. And then I would go with Sarratt and with Lemon. I mean, look, press coverage is a reality of playing in the NFL. If that wasn't as big of a question mark for Lemon, I think he could be up there in that tier with the first 2, but he is not. So it's kind of a 1A tier. And I would probably swap out Tate to the top of it.
Steve, how do you rank these 4?
Oof, I go probably with Tate. No, Tyson, Lemon, Tate, Sarratt.
Okay. Sounds about right. Fits the bill. Let's go forward here to my quarterback 2, who's Dante Moore, who transferred from UCLA after 1 season, sat behind Dillon Gabriel before taking the reins and leading the Ducks to an 11-1 season where they lost their wide receiver 1, Evan Stewart, in the preseason to a nasty ACL injury. They also had injuries to their pass catchers really throughout the season, including here potentially in the postseason stretch as well. He is 6'3". He's 206 pounds. Really, accuracy is this guy's trump card, right? He is coming in 3rd in the nation in completion percentage. We know that is a hallmark, though, of the Dan Lanning system. He is not the best athlete, though. And also, he struggles a lot more on the short passes, specifically on screens, than we've seen out of Dillon Gabriel and Bo Nix. So certainly needs to clean that up. I think he plays a lot like a smaller Byron Leftwich with kind of a little Bryce Young, like Byron Leftwich style play in a Bryce Young body, if that makes sense, or a little closer to Bryce Young. He's a bit bigger, but not super athletic. But I think this guy has really high IQ. We see him making all types of checks at the line of scrimmage every single week. I really like what he can do over the middle with his accuracy as well. I just think the ceiling is limited for Dante Moore. Again, I think there could be some really intriguing landing spots that we'll get into. So I think he's still going to have a safe floor. I just don't know if he's ever going to be someone who is a quarterback 1 for fantasy football purposes with just how limited he is athletically. Steve, where's your ideal landing spot for Mr. Dante Moore?
I don't think he's that limited as an athlete. I think he puts up positive rushing yards. And in college, that's pretty hard to do as a quarterback because sacks count against your rushing totals.
Sure.
So I think he's actually a decent enough extender. I see him going to the Miami Dolphins. Again, I think this is a weak QB class. And what that means is usually that's an easier time to move up and go get someone. And the Dolphins, it's over between them and Tua, right? McDaniel has come out now, publicly questioned him multiple times. McDaniel's sick of Tua. McDaniels wants to get off that whole mess. The Dolphins want to get out of that contract. It's time to move on. What they should do is go out, give Tua, along with their first round pick and whatever other pick needs to go with it, to the Las Vegas Raiders, get out of that contract, take Dante Moore. To me, he is an outside the numbers thrower. He's extremely accurate outside the numbers, which we know is a big part of Mike McDaniel's system. You have to be good outside the numbers. You have to be able to throw outside the numbers. He gives Bo Nix vibes to me. And I know that's like such an easy comparison to make. It's like Oregon to Oregon, but that's what he gives. And he's not a guy who's going to single-handedly carry your team to victory, but he's competent in the offense. He will deliver the throws you want him to make. And in a Mike McDaniel system, in a Kyle Shanahan type system, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what you need. And right now, Tua can't do that. They have lost the ability to do that. I'm excited to see if Zach Wilson gets to start, because I said early in the season, he's the guy I thought would run this offense better. Dante Moore, this is that offense. Like, that's what he's doing at Oregon. It's just bang, 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 bang. Get it out of your hands, right? And that's what you were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I think putting him in the Miami Dolphins system, all that motion, you have Achane, you have Waddle, you have, whoever else they get. I think that's going to be a really fun system and something that would really make him thrive and even work his way up to a low, maybe high-end QB2, low-end QB1 kind of status.
Yeah, that is a perfect fit, Steve. I think that would be, honestly, a pair made in heaven, right? I think especially we'll see if, honestly, with how Miami's played down the stretch, albeit they didn't play great on Monday Night Football in the Steel City, but, who does, right? We're an absolute stud of a team out here.
Tua looked like he had checked out. Tua was so bad.
Yeah, and but I mean, so if Mike McDaniel is still there, I do like the fit a lot of Dante Moore going. I think I would be a little more bullish on him. At number 8, I have his top pass catcher, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end, and he really shined this year, posting 40 receptions, 490 yards, 8 total touchdowns, and this is after Terrence Ferguson left for the NFL, so he really didn't have a long runway in Eugene, but I think this kid just has a really great story. He comes from a town of under 500 people in Mackay, Idaho, ends up having to move during high school to go to a bigger school to get some scouts looking his way. And what this guy does lack in production, he makes up for in elite athleticism, coming from a track and a basketball background. I think he's going to absolutely shine out in Indy this year at the NFL Combine. However, I will mention he is a bit undersized, right? Still needs to develop a bit more as a route runner as well. I kind of get Eric Ebron vibes from Sadiq, meaning that I think he has top 12 upside, maybe not top 5 upside at the position. But I think if he does reach that ceiling, it's going to come by bulking up a little bit and really developing more after the catch. So I think Sadiq, and maybe I even have him a little bit too high here because I think there is still a lot of flexibility between him and my tight end too. But I just love the story of Sadiq, and I love what he could do on an NFL level, specifically if he can develop more after the catch. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on Kenyon Sadiq, and where is your dream landing spot for him?
Yeah, it's funny that you waffle with where to rank him, because I think this is what we're going to see in the actual NFL draft come next April, right? I think we're heading into a bit of a weaker class in 2026, and so in turn, there are going to be a couple of guys that could be as high as like top 10, top 12 picks, or we could see them slip all the way into the midpoint of day number 2 or the second round at least. So for me, I've got Sadiq as my tight end 1 off the board. I do think that he'll probably land right about where the Kansas City Chiefs are drafting, and the Kansas City Chiefs are very much so succession planning for Travis Kelce, or at least they should be, right? It's likely that we might not see Travis Kelce take another snap with Patrick Mahomes on the field, right? So Kansas City is going to have a big hole to plug for just how important a role that tight end position plays in their offense. And Sadiq comes in as almost like this year's version of Harold Fannin. At least that's the twinkle that I thought I saw in Steve's eye earlier as you were describing his play. A little bit undersized, far more of a pass catching weapon than as a pass blocking or run blocking weapon.
Yes.
But if he can develop into those areas to a point where he's even just not a liability out there, I think he can be a very, very viable tight end at the NFL level and fantasy asset from the Dynasty perspective.
Yeah, he plays a bit bigger than I think his listed size as well. He's a very tenacious blocker. I would say a little bit more than the tight end too that we'll touch on here in a bit. At number 9, let's stay out there in the Pacific Northwest and go to Denzel Boston. If you're looking for consistency coming out of the Big Ten for an alleged 6'4" outside X wide receiver, I think you should definitely be interested in Washington's X here. He posted back-to-back seasons of over 800 yards, 20 touchdowns as a whole in Seattle these past 2 seasons, finishing top 10 in the conference in almost every single metric both seasons. He's another guy who great in contested catch situations. He reminds me kind of another matchup comp, Chris Chambers and Alec Iomaner's body. Chris Chambers was a bit of a smaller player than Denzel Boston, but a little slow off the gun, but lethal, absolutely lethal after the catch, and great in those contested catch situations. So a little bit slower, like an Alec Iomaner, but I think he plays kind of like a Chris Chambers. So, Steve, what is your ideal landing spot for Denzel Boston?
Yeah, for me, Boston's another, like, he's a project, right? Like, he's not ready to go. You're not plugging him in being like, go get it done, right?
Maybe like a Jaden Higgins type of, slow ascension in the first year might not be bananas.
Maybe even slower. I think he has a lot of work to do. I think his measurables are going to be bad, like legitimately bad as far as like the 40 goes and his quickness measurements.
Could be.
But I have him in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Mike Evans is a free agent. Do I think Mike Evans is going to like leave Tampa Bay? Probably not, right? Probably not.
Sure.
But could he, if Mike Evans hangs it up, I mean, who knows, right? Like, we don't know how much more time he's got in this league. He may just want to be like, hey, you know what? The 1,000-yard streak ended. He could go out like the Undertaker, right? Like, the streak's over. It's time to move on. Or maybe the Buccaneers blow it all up, right? I don't know. But he seems like a nice succession plan to Mike Evans, where he does need that time to develop. He needs that time to figure out his route running and his separation ability and that ability to get off the ball quicker. And putting him in Tampa Bay, which does develop wide receivers really well, I think is a good idea. And they're going to need another big body guy because you can't run Chris Godwin and Emeka Egbuka out there and be like, we're good to go. You're missing that big body. I don't want to be the homer that's like harping on this. There's guys, I still have Deuce Robinson ahead of guys like Denzel Boston.
Oh, jeez.
In this, I think he's just a better fit naturally to the NFL. But I do think that Boston would thrive in a situation like Tampa where he's not necessarily needed right away.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think he would be someone great if he does land in Tampa Bay, where you are taking him, I think, still towards the back end of the first round of rookie drafts, because if you have that pick, you're likely someone competing who, hey, let's just get someone who can maybe in a year or two develop out into a wide receiver 3 play for fantasy purposes. However, if he goes to somewhere like Pittsburgh or, Buffalo even, that really needs a flanker or an X wide receiver that can slot in immediately, he could shoot up draft boards. So I think Denzel Boston certainly has a range of outcomes. At number 10, I have Ty Simpson, quarterback for Alabama. Very unknown right now whether Simpson will declare or not. I think he will have to. I was talking down at the barbershop today with one of my buddies who is a raging Alabama Crimson Tide fan. Never made sense to me when you grow up 45 minutes from State College, Happy Valley. That's a different story, though. Regardless, though, like, he was really saying that he thinks Simpson has to go because Alabama has a ton of depth at the position. They have Mack, who has been sitting around for years and years there. They also have a true freshman 5-star recruit as well who doesn't want to waste time. So it was really a roller coaster season as the Crimson Tide starter in Ryan Grubb's offense for Simpson. He absolutely had to carry this Bama offense. So they had no run game. Their RB1 coming into the season, Jam Miller, was banged up. He finally got rolling midway through the season, got banged up again. 10-3 as a whole on the season. Ty Simpson's record was as a starter, made it to the SEC championship, kind of backed into that with A&M losing late in the season. He did lead the SEC in pass attempts and completions, threw for 3,200 plus yards, 26 total touchdowns as well. His size is fine, right? 6'2", 208. So you like that. This guy's a wizard pre-snap as well. Love what he does on and off the field. I think he could be a franchise quarterback. There are just some question marks, right? One, he didn't beat out Jalen Milroe for a couple years, right? And I think we all see what the NFL thinks of Jalen Milroe. Also, I don't know, again, this is a Ryan Grubb issue. Is this, hey, Ryan Williams was just a one-hit wonder? But, I mean, you look at Ryan Williams' production, fell off an absolute cliff this season with Simpson at quarterback. Bernard took a step forward, but that was a big question mark too. So a lot of questions around Simpson, Eric. Where's your ideal landing spot for him in the league?
Yeah, legitimately open questions. Some of the things that you underscored, or some of the points that you made that I would like to underscore, is just how cerebral of a player he is, how he's got the ability to dissect defenses and define what their package is and what their coverage plan is, and take full advantage of that. That to me describes a player that fits perfectly into the Sean McVay system, which is where I have him heading out to the Los Angeles Rams. They are presumably looking for an heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, who was rumored to be considering retirement as recently as the start of last offseason. So don't know exactly how much time they have left on that clock, whether it's a season, whether it's two. But I do think that Ty Simpson could get into that type of system and continue to develop, which is very much so an open question mark in his game, right? He doesn't have the strongest arm out there, but he can make, those 3-level throws. The thing that I like most about him, and what I think would ultimately appeal the most to McVay specifically, is his ball placement. Like it is bordering on Aaron Rodgers level. He's not nearly as talented of a thrower as Aaron Rodgers,
right.
But in terms of his ability to place the ball and give his receivers opportunity for yards after the catch, he is a phenomenal watch when you get on the film stick. So I think that could be something that Sean McVay falls in love with because he has those question marks. I don't even know if the Rams have to go out there and get crazy with their 2 first-round picks and try to move up and get him. He might be there.
Yes.
Certainly be there at Atlanta's pick. He might be there with the Rams pick as well. And so if they can spend, later draft capital on a guy, bring him in, develop him, and whenever it's his time to shine, build an offense around him, that's McVay's calling card. And I think it would be really cool to see that play out in LA.
Look, man, I love James Pierce Jr. coming out of Tennessee. I think a lot of people did it in the community last year. However, I think Atlanta's going to have a lot of buyer's regret, right? I mean, this is a guy who just did not show up. I mean, 8 sacks, so it was great. And I think rebuilding that defensive line had to be, a very strong thing for them to consider. I just think it was a hefty price to pay, right? So maybe he's going to be a stud in this league, but it also felt like James kind of disappeared at times this year. So we'll see. It was good metrics overall. Let's go to my next quarterback here. Number 11, John Mateer. Maybe the most fun prospect in this class is Oklahoma's quarterback, right? This is the guy who transferred from Washington State after leading the country in total touchdowns. He had thumb surgery mid-season. He was the Heisman favorite at that point, kind of derailed that campaign, right? Ended up that he has not been as sharp since coming back, right? He's thrown 12 touchdowns this season, just 10 interceptions. He really has been relying on some big plays to Deion Burks down the stretch to win some games, like LSU when they were trailing, like Alabama a couple weeks ago as well. We'll get the rematch of that this week. However, what's intriguing from a fantasy perspective, I think, and what gives him high-end quarterback 2 upside is that he rushed for over 1,200 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns the past 2 seasons. That is a cheat code in fantasy football. The upside is there, but so does the downside. This guy's just 6'1". He plays a bit recklessly, not only running the ball, but also likes to throw the ball into coverage. A bit of a young Josh Allen in my mind, right?
Easy.
Well, no, I'm just saying how Josh Allen early in his career really liked to try to test his arm and throw it down into double coverage. We see a lot of that from John Mateer. I think he can bulldoze some people like Josh Allen a little bit too, but I think he's somewhere in between a poor man's Allen and a Jake Locker, right? So wide range of outcome for him. But for Dynasty specifically and fantasy football purposes at the Superflex position, I am willing to take the shot at the end of the first round and hoping he can stick somewhere and get some first-round draft capital. Steve, your thoughts on John Mateer and your ideal landing spot?
Yeah, I think he's kind of not it. So I'm really not a fan of him as a prospect. He's very JJ McCarthy-esque to me, where he's athletic, but can't really get it done. Like, he's just a chaotic style of play, almost reminiscent of Johnny Manziel-ish, like in the style that he plays, just without like some of the highlights.
Fair.
If anyone's going to fix them, I still trust Kevin O'Connell to get it done. If they want to get out from JJ McCarthy, they can't spend another first-round pick on a quarterback. They just can't. I don't think Mateer will grade out as a first-round quarterback. If he does, let whatever team waste their pick on him, waste their pick. But I think you got to hope he lands somewhere that someone can fix him. He doesn't land somewhere with like a defensive-minded coach or like a bumbling idiot kind of coach, which I could name a few, and I'm not going to be that mean. I think the Vikings are the only hope John Mateer has of turning into an NFL-ready quarterback.
I want to hate him out here in the Steelers. I think he could actually run Arthur Smith's system.
Who don't you want on the Steelers, Seth? Every single person is like, yeah, they'd be a great Steeler. They'd be a great Steeler.
They would rocket up draft boards if they just went and played for Arthur Smith.
It's Christmas time. Let's
what part of that offense is appealing? You're like, oh, they'd thrive as a wide receiver too. DK Metcalf isn't thriving as a wide receiver 1.
Dude, could you imagine him running the tush pushes in Connor Hayward's position next year? Whew.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean for fantasy. Yeah, I'm here for it. Eric, on these quarterbacks, again, my order, I have Mendoza, Moore, Simpson, and then Mateer. A very fluid situation, though, where landing spot will be a big one. Like, if someone does end up with the Rams, and even if it's like Mateer, I mean, there's an opportunity where I think whoever ends up with Sean McVay goes up to the second quarterback in my rankings. But pre-NFL draft, pre-Senior Bowl, pre-scouting combine, everything that we're going to find out in the college football playoff as well. What is your order of these quarterbacks?
I have them in the same order that you have them listed,
okay.
And I feel I have a pretty similar sentiment. The only difference being I think 1 and 2 are pretty clearly locked in, right? It's really whomever goes to the Rams is going to be my QB3 off the board is how I would look at it.
Okay. I guess I'm maybe just a little bit lower on Moore. I mean, I still have him top 7, but yeah, I guess maybe the comp was a little disrespectful, but shout out Byron Leftwich. We love you, Byron. Great guy. Let's go to my 12th and final player here for my 2026 early rookie rankings. It's the 2025 John Mackey Award winner. He is the Vanderbilt tight end, Eli Stowers. He comes in after finishing 6th in the SEC total, not tight ends, but as a total pass catcher in receptions with 62. Good for 769 yards, 4 total touchdowns. And like Sadiq, this guy's a bit undersized, right? 6'4", 235, multiple years of production, though. That is the one thing that he has. Also, what he has is he has the versatility like my boy Tyler Warren. Former quarterback, this guy is lined up out wide, in line, and in the backfield. You watch Vanderbilt's offense, it's not quite a triple read, but it's kind of on the same similar sort of fashion what we like to run down there in Georgia Tech with Haynes King, right? And I think here, with being a Friedman freak, I think he's really going to press in the 40. My issue is even more than Sadiq. I think he is going to be limited on the amount of times he is on the field as a pass blocker because of his size, because he is even worse in pass blocking than Sadiq, in my opinion. That he's going to be a bit like a Dalton Kincaid to begin his career, right? When he's out there, he's making plays, he's figuring it out. But at the same time, I think if he can maybe put on a little bulk at Indy, if he can press in Mobile as well, there's a chance he could pass Sadiq, and I think he could go all the way into the top 6, top 7 range of my rookie rankings, a lot like I had Tyler Warren last year. And at the same time, you look and turn it around that Tyler Warren, he probably should have been top 6 or 7 guy. We did a rookie redraft. I think he came in at 5. So I just really don't know if he plays every down. That is the question mark I have for him. Eric, where do you have him going in an ideal scenario?
Yeah, not surprising at all that the guy who you comp to Tyler Warren could move all the way up to your tight end 1 in your rookie rankings and rocket up your board. And wait until you hear how I project him to play as the tight end number 4 in this Arthur Smith system for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. I'm just kidding. I'm going to go to another pretty prolific offense and system for tight ends historically, and that is the New England Patriots, right? Billy B is no longer in the building in Gillette Stadium, but a lot of his henchmen are, and I could see them going to bring in Eli Stowers as someone that can be that move tight end to play that, Aaron Hernandez role in this Patriots offense. with their primary option being Hunter Henry currently getting a little bit longer in the tooth, right? Pushing 32 years old now, but also a savvy veteran that could bring the kid up a little bit. So I like to see the Patriots continue to invest in supporting Drake May. And I think we could be fast forwarding a few years to where the Patriots are back to a lot of 2 tight end sense where, Eli is the move option and they bring in more of a veteran presence as the block and release type of role.
Okay, I love that. And to just kind of round it out here and do a quick review of my early 2026 rookie rankings. Again, these are going to change a lot. I'll be down in Mobile at the end of January for the Senior Bowl. So hopefully I have some content for you out on the channel on that. Who are my biggest risers, fallers, everything like that. Hopefully tracking the process throughout the combine and the NFL draft itself as well. So a lot of shifting and shaking, but as of now, as it stands here in mid-December, Fernando Mendoza is my 101. Jeremiyah Love at 2. Jordyn Tyson at 3. Carnell Tate at 4. Elijah Sarratt at 5. 6. Makai Lemon. 7. Dante Moore. 8. Kenyon Sadiq. 9. Denzel Boston. 10. Ty Simpson. 11. John Mateer. And 12. Eli Stowers. Let me know your early 2026 Dynasty rookie rankings. We want to hear from you. And guys, let's go ahead and shift gears here because Rave Rookie Reviews, we're talking about rookies and we're also talking about movies we potentially haven't seen because we like to combine a little pop culture with our fantasy sports here at IBT. And Steve, as a whole, you're an entertainment betting expert. You're tracking these markets really throughout the entire calendar year. How does 2026 shape up from a film standpoint? Because I got to say, especially as we kind of round out the 2025 film season, been a bit disappointing, especially here around the holidays.
Well, I don't know if it's been really that disappointing around the holidays because we have 3 major blockbusters going on right now around the holidays. So that's the thing is it was kind of like a weird year where a lot of blockbusters got shifted, not quite onto Christmas Day, right? Christmas Day has been blocked off of that Marty Supreme movie, that Timothy Chalamet vehicle that I can't possibly be bothered to go like watch willingly. I'll probably see it because that's my job. I review movies. That's what I do. But 2026 projects as a cool movie year. There are some mega movies coming out. And even as we released our lists, and I saw Eric had one on that I did not know about, but always excited to see that director get going. And so I won't spoil it until he gets to his list, but very excited for a lot of these movies coming out, especially Marvel and what they're cooking up right now.
Okay, well, let's start with you, Steve. Give us your top 5 most anticipated movies for 2026 that we need to see.
Yeah, and it's going to start out, and this is the most anticipated movie of the year, I think, for a lot of people. I think it's going to be a mega hit, Avengers Doomsday. I was on the side of the internet that was thrilled when they announced that RDJ was going to be playing Dr. Doom, returning to the MCU, where he belongs. I think it's a fascinating decision to turn the MCU's biggest hero into its biggest villain, the greatest threat. Robert Downey Jr. has the acting chops for that, and I am so excited. After that, anyone who knows me knows horror. It lives in my heart in a way that I cannot explain. I am a horror movie guy, and I loved 28 Years Later. That came out in June of this year. Well, they are releasing the sequel in January. A quick turnaround, if you ask me, for a sequel. But 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple comes out next month. Kicks off 2026 with a bang. I am hyped. Cannot wait to see it because the first one was so good. I thought it should be nominated for an Oscar. 3, I got The Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping. I read this book at the persuasion, the request of my boyfriend, and I was in tears. It is the hardest book you'll read of all the Hunger Games books. It is absolutely heart-wrenching. This movie is absolutely going to devastate me. I will not walk out of that theater without sobbing. It's going to be a tough one, but absolutely one that I'm so excited to watch. From there, call me crazy. I love the live-action remakes that Disney does, so give me that Moana remake. I love it. I am hyped. I think it's going to be great. I loved the animated Moana. I am excited for this Moana. Very excited. And then Spider-Man Brand New Day. I never left the MCU. I've enjoyed almost every entry that they've put out thus far, outside of maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. That might be the only one that I was like, that was no good. But other than that, big fan. So I am very excited for Brand New Day. I love that they got Sadie Sink to come in and play a role that I will not spoil because the teasers have not released yet, but they have been leaked.
Okay.
And she's playing something very interesting.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you keeping that under wraps and not getting us canceled or, on the black dark web or anything like that. So appreciate that. And let's go to another man who, unlike me, does not have an IMDb page. He is Eric Romoff. Eric, what are your top 5 movies for 2026 that you just can't wait to see, my friend?
Yeah, what's funny is I actually have 2 movies on my list that could fit that description that Steve teed me up with. I think he was referring to my number 1 movie, which is Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg getting back into the director's chair to lead a Emily Blunt-led movie and cast that is walking through what it is like to find out definitively that we are not alone out in the universe. And how that entire timeline unspools in real time. So that is the exact type of setting that I enjoy in a movie. These kind of point in time and how series of events unfold and different storylines merge together is exactly what I'm looking for. I think Steven Spielberg will tell that story beautifully. From there, I move into some of the more nostalgic section of my list. 2 and 3, Scream number 7, Toy Story number 5. Love the slasher genre. Love that they're bringing back a lot of the original cast from Scream back in my day. Here in the 7th installment of the series, and in Toy Story number 5, simply all of these movies do not miss. Right? You want to talk about being an absolute puddle in public and in these theaters. I have no idea what's exactly in store for me with Toy Story 5, but I know it's going to be
I do you want to know what the story is? Kids have moved away from toys
versus tablets, baby.
Toys
versus tablets. Beautiful. This sounds like a real life rendition of a battle that I wage in my own household every single day. Speaking of does not miss, the other director in question that I thought Steve might be alluding to is none other than Christopher Nolan, who is behind the new Odyssey production coming out. Obviously, Homer's epic tale of Paige and of Odysseus now coming to the screen with a star-studded cast. And then last but certainly not least, heading to The Mandalorian and Grogu, one of my favorite Star Wars series, now updated into a feature-length film. So very much so excited to see that storyline unravel in the Star Wars universe.
And if you're a Star Wars fan, we're talking Star Wars tomorrow on Popcorn and Root Beer. I'm plugging it myself because Seth always forgets.
Yep, good call. Shout out to that. And I don't know how I feel about it. I think I still have maybe the last season of The Mandalorian to watch. I really enjoyed that show, but something about taking something that is at home and then taking me to the theaters to go see more of it. I don't know. It's not a huge vibe for me. So, but I am excited for really a lot of those movies you mentioned. And we'll go ahead to my list to round us out. A couple of these movies already mentioned, so I won't spend a ton of time on it. But Avengers Doomsday number 1. It took me actually a long time to get caught up in the Avengers Marvel cinematic world, right? Like, I wasn't here when it was time for Endgame or Infinity War, anything like that. I really kind of spent COVID in that time kind of really catching up, and I'm excited to see what they do. Like some Marvel movies hit for me. Like I loved the new Avengers Thunderbolts, right? But Fantastic Four, you can kind of miss me on that. I thought that was pretty cheesy. Also, like
that's a bad take.
I also didn't love the new Captain America. I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a 6 out of 10. I thought Fantastic Four, maybe a 4, but I really liked what they did with the Thunderbolts. So I think this new collection of heroes is going to be really fun come together in Avengers Doomsday, and hopefully one that we see in there is Spider-Man himself, Peter Parker, Tom Holland. He will also be in Brand New Day. I mean, that end of the last Spider-Man movie, what a great movie and what a sad way to end it, right? So I just am happy to get reprieved a little bit because I have all this bent up, balled up emotion over the past couple years, just kind of being left on a ledge. I don't think it's going to beat what we saw from the last Spider-Man. Like, that was so cool having Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in it, but I think Spider-Man will continue to deliver. Toy Story 5, I'm with you there, Eric. Toy Story 4 was fine. Again, it definitely pulled at some heartstrings, made you feel something. I think the fifth one will potentially be maybe even better. And then how about the Super Mario Galaxy movie? The Super Mario movie was one of the first things that got me back into theater post-COVID. So excited to put my butt maybe in a seat and see what the Mario Galaxy has in store for us. Just like, this is the theater movie to me. I think this is one that you really get a lot out of being in the theater for, just with all the animation on the screen and all the sounds and soundtracks. So really looking forward to what they can kind of do and continue to break out that and maybe add some new characters that we've been waiting for. And then Jumanji 3. Really mixed like feelings on Jumanji. Like, at the same time, I'm not a Kevin Hart guy, actually. Like, I know that's probably a hot take. Not a huge
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Kevin Hart guy, so I don't know if I necessarily need him in another movie. I don't know if I need The Rock in another movie, but the Jumanji series, both of them were really, really good. This remake of Jumanji. Also, can we shout out our boy Nick Jonas? I think he's a better actor than he gets credit for as well. And so I'm just kind of really, yeah, just calling it like I see it. Just calling it like,
call such weird things. Like, can we shout out our boy Nick Jonas?
Look, if you turn in,
shout out, do your thing, Nick.
Yeah, if you tune into the IBT podcast or the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football podcast, I've made my love for Nick Jonas and the Joe Bros clear as day, and I think if we see him again here in Jumanji 3, might be a banger. So I don't know, it's fun. It's a fun little adventure movie. I'm here for it. So that is my 5: Avengers: Doomsday, Spider-Man, Toy Story, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, Jumanji 3. Steve's going Avengers 28 years later, The Hunger Games, Moana, and Spider-Man. And then Eric, Disclosure Day, Scream 7, Toy Story 5, and The Odyssey and Mandalorian and Grogu. Gentlemen, great stuff. Very much looking forward to what's coming in 2026, both from a fantasy football and a film perspective. That is going to do it, though, for us tonight on this episode of the In Between Fantasy Football podcast. If you've rode with us this long, please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got fantasy football and NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting coming back in 2026, and, of course, entertainment betting. Steve, Alfredo, and as well as Jake Perry will be live tomorrow breaking down a Star Wars rewatch. There you go, Steve. There's a plug for you, so make sure you're checking that out. We help you bring you this content to cash more and also enjoy the ride along the way. We hope you check out in-betweenmedia.com for some dope written content. Also, join the Discord at in-betweenmedia.com/chat. Join our free postseason PropDecks contest. We want to see you rocking this Zach Evans signed Ole Miss jersey or whatever you want with a $200 Fanatics gift card as well. And we want to see you with a ticket to Draft Night Out. So for Eric Romoff, for Steven Lawson, and of course from my man behind the scenes, Kyle Scott, I'm Seth Wilcock. Keep it in between until next time. Thank you.